Our next speaker, Amy, she's a Senior Customer Development and Regional Engagement Lead working at National Highways. Amy's worked at National Highways for 15 years, both at National Highways and at local authority level, focusing on communication, engagement and improving customer experience. Amy now leads the National Highways Access and Inclusion Programme and supports delivery of company-wide initiatives to improve the overall customer experience for all road users. She is passionate about driving accessibility improvements in the industry, having been a young carer for her late father, who was paralysed when he was at the age of 11, and also deals with ADHD diagnosis herself. I'd like to welcome Amy Ellis.
Hi everyone, thank you for my introduction. I'm actually here. I had an event in March and I posted something on LinkedIn which was picked up by Rich. So I've been invited here and it feels like a big honour actually to be here today. So I've done a little bit of a slide about me, but most of it was covered off in that introduction there. But I've worked in highways for 15 years, originally started at North Yorkshire County Council, and then 7 years ago I moved it to National Highways. And for the last 6 months I have been managing our Access and Inclusion Approach programme and also leading our Roads for All forum events. And I will talk about those subjects a little bit more. I am highly passionate and tenacious about this subject, mainly because I have personal experience, as Derek mentioned, and I'm both personal and professional advocate for people with disabilities. So I'm really here to talk to you about customer experience, disabled people when using a strategic network, and also their experience of breaking down on the network as well. So I have got 2 big loves, which I've had on road. I get that from my dad. And one of my biggest phobias is actually speaking into a mic, so I've got over that one today. So why do we have an access and inclusion approach at National Highways? So on average, a disabled person will take more than 1/3 less journeys than a non-disabled person. So if you let that sink in, if you were to take 18, an average person would usually take around 18 journeys a week. So that calculates around 7 journeys that they wouldn't take. That includes obviously going to visit family, healthcare, job related. So people rely on the roads as part of well-being, and that's something that's really important to us at National Highways, is that we reduce that transport accessibility gap so that disabled people can travel on the network independently, feeling safe, confident about using the road. So as part of our Access and Inclusion Approach programme, I mentioned that I lead an event called Roads for All Forum, and as part of the Roads for All Forum, it was we have a number of disabled organisations who support us in understanding the needs of customers. And in March we had an event where we invited a number of organisations and disabled customers and recovery operators. So there is actually some people in this room that were with us in March to understand the experience across the timeline of a breakdown on the strategic network. So breaking down, how does that feel, getting to a place of safety, how they contact us, and then also obviously that way at the roadside waiting for recovery. So we've also done a lot more research, so it's not just the Roads for All forum, but we work alongside, we've got a strategic partnership with a company called Disabled Motor UK, they've provided us with quite a lot of research from the disabled community. We attended NADEX, which is a big disability conference at NEC, where we had the ability to be able to talk to customers for 2 days about their experiences. I think one of the things that really surprised me actually was that a lot of people don't like to actually travel, or the fear of breaking down on our network. That really surprised me. And we've also got an internal insight team who've done some customer journey mapping around this subject as well. So on the screen now you can see the 5 key themes that have come out from that customer experience research. So it's around communication and inform, collaborate and design, catalyst for change, contact channels and customer experience. So I'm going to give you a bit more information about what came out from the Rose for All forum around these subjects, specifically around the breakdown side. So customers feel, and if you notice I've highlighted some in yellow, so I think one of the reasons that I'm here and I want to work alongside the recovery industry to understand how we can make the service and the experience better for our disabled customers. So the ones in yellow are the ones that I feel are the ones that are not just national highways, but ones that we can work together. Some of it's feedback, so some of it is specifics of what came out, what people really feel that we could do better. So some people don't know how to communicate with us. The contact channels are not necessarily widely understood. Staying in touch, this is a really important part for disabled customers, knowing when they're going to get recovery, and I think, to be honest, it's probably the same for anybody, not just disabled customers but for everybody. We did hear quite a few, I don't want to say the word, but horror stories around people being stuck on the network for a really long time and not knowing what was going to happen, and obviously at that point the fear sets in, especially when you're on the side of a busy motorway. The availability of interpretation services, so things like British Sign Language, hidden disability, people who are deaf. So worrying about the experience of breaking down is, as I mentioned, it's really frightening, and it does stop people from using our network. There was some focus around disabled people who may have toileting issues, so if they break down, if they're recovered, really needing the toilet at the side of the road was something again that caused a lot of fear and anxiety for people. And there was also some mindfulness around seeking feedback from operators as well, so not just our customers, but seeking feedback from operators to understand how we can work together better in those situations. Communicate and inform, so we do provide quite a bit of information around the process and procedures for breakdown. We've also got a campaign called TRIP, which provides information for people when they're going out on the long journeys. We do a summer and a winter version of that. But what we do need to improve is tailored advice. So not all the advice is appropriate for everybody. So how can we better tailor advice to people's specific needs? It's not always easy because there's so much variation. So understanding that is something that we're currently working on as well. So the catalyst for change is probably the most important one. It's around how we can work together to improve the experience. So I mentioned around regular and accurate updates around ETAs. So that's not just for us with the traffic officer service, but the recovery industry as well. Keeping in touch, keeping in that regular contact. We had some really positive feedback from a customer who was autistic, who broke down, and the regular contact that they received at the roadside reassured them that watching them through the camera to make sure that they were safe, and they also knew the estimated times of people that were going to be there to help recover them from the network. Quite a big one is around sharing data, so transferring information, customer needs information from one organisation to another. It can sometimes get lost in translation. So one of the examples that I can remember, when a deaf customer made contact with their recovery operator, they had a really good experience. But then when the information was then transferred through to the guys on the ground who went out to rescue them, they were trying to contact them by telephone, which obviously was impossible. So they were delayed for rescue because they weren't able to communicate in the same way. I will talk about sunflower. You'll see that I've got my green lanyard and I've popped a few leaflets and magnets around, so I will talk about that a little bit more in a few moments. But collaborate and design. So we know that we have got services that we currently have in place that aren't necessarily supportive of all customers. So the emergency roadside telephone, from a technology perspective, it's been around a long time. So we're looking at how we can reassess those types of services that we offer. The e-call buttons in cars, we were told that a lot of car retailers tell people not to press it, which is quite negative promotion. So there's a lot of engagement done at the Roads for All Forum, people to understand what the e-call button is, when to use it, and what actually happens when you press the e-call button as well. Training and development, so we've worked quite a lot with our traffic officer service, and we've done a training video with them, and it was designed alongside the disability organisations that we work with. And all those involved in recovery need to coordinate and communicate more, so that's again around working together. So, as I mentioned, the hidden disability. So I found out last year that I have ADHD, which is classed as a hidden disability. I was misdiagnosed for about 30 years that I have depression and anxiety, but I never really felt like that was what was wrong with me, so I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Eventually I went for a private assessment based on a mental health person that was helping me through the NHS. She did tell me that it would be about 6 to 7 years to get a diagnosis as an adult female. So I decided to go private, and it's been life-changing for me. I feel like I can fully understand who I am now. I know some of the issues that I've got and how I can best manage those. So it really has been life-changing for me. And obviously I grew up as a child of somebody with a physical disability, so I had that experience, but now to sort of talk about myself as having a disability myself, it's quite strange, to be honest. So out of the 80% of people within the UK that have a disability, out of the 16 million people, 80% of them have a hidden disability, and that's only those who have been diagnosed. There's quite a lot of people that haven't been diagnosed. We have worked with Hidden Disability to develop a sticker and a magnet which are dotted around the room, and these can be placed on a vehicle. So when a traffic officer sees that, they know that that person, or there's a person in the car who might have specific additional needs. And I'll talk about that in a little while. As well, I thought it would just be worth mentioning some people with physical disabilities who drive vehicles, especially the non-adaptive vehicles. My dad drove a normal automatic vehicle. From someone looking into the car, he didn't look disabled. So even in a vehicle, even in a car, when you have a physical disability, the hidden sunflower can really help, like at petrol stations and stuff where you might need that assistance. It's recognised internationally. Organisations can sign up, and once you're signed up, you have the ability to do some of their training and awareness. They've got a amazing website which has actually a directory of lots of different types of hidden disabilities. And no disability is the same. Even there's millions of us with ADHD, but not all of us have the same needs and issues. So we, as I mentioned, we worked with disability organisations to come up with the idea of having the magnet, and then obviously in March we had the Roads for All Forum where we talked about breakdown, which I've obviously mentioned already. So I have done quite a list there of additional assistance, support. The top one for me is kind of important for me. If I was in an emergency situation, stood at the side of the motorway, I would really struggle to be able to take verbal instructions. So useful sort of basic handouts, guides would be really useful. Seeing the sunflower, don't be scared, ask if they're okay, ask if they want help, is there anything specific that they would need support with. Help getting out of the car. Some people might just be completely petrified of even just getting out of their vehicle in that circumstance. It can cause elevated distress, so upset, frustration and anger, and that is just a reaction to the situation. And sometimes when you are met with a similar type of behaviour, it can elevate the situation. So being empathetic and patient is always good. Consider communication methods. I obviously mentioned that earlier. So having not just speech ways of communicating, so like sign language, language translation, handouts, those types of things. And then the final slide is what can you guys do to help? So I have put a QR code on the last slide, which I'm happy to share the slides. And also there is an article in the recent Professional Recovery magazine on page 22, which also has a QR code. You can go onto Hidden Disabilities website and have a look around. It would be really useful for people to sign up with them and also raise awareness within your organisations around hidden disabilities. And I think people do struggle with sort of what to say in certain situations. So something just as simple as, I see your sunflower, how can I help you? And there's the QR code again. Thank you.
That leads us to a break, but we come to these conferences and we always think it's about the breakdown itself, the truck, the problems we have, the storage, EVs, whatever. But really it's quite a prominent subject for us, the amount of people that we have to move. We're there to move the car, but we end up moving the people. And I'm sure with today's technology, it wouldn't be beyond apex to be able to transmit a sunflower on a job when there's a hidden disability. Maybe that's something that we can talk to about and come up with, because I think that'd be pretty much the icing on the cake for her. Richard?
Just quickly, I did pick up on linking, and I think Amy's done an excellent job presenting today. It's something that I think this industry, but more so our work providers, they're the ones that cover the members that we're attending. And it's not fair in some aspects that we're sending drivers out that don't understand what they're going out to and being stuck with the problem, which creates anxiety for the members and a problem for our drivers. This is a subject where a united industry can actually work together and work out a mechanism or a model built around sunflower so that we're never going to be completely equipped. But again, when I talk about duty of care, we've got a duty of care to support this. PROF is completely behind campaign, and whether it's the tow show and further thing, we should be supporting it as long as we can. And I'd ask motoring organisations and the people present to give us the same support, because it's not hard and it's not about money, it's about not moving cars, moving people. Together we can definitely support this. So well done, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. Morning presentations. Comfort break. See you back in 20 minutes. Thank you.